Bettering your business takes working with the best. With the James Hardie Alliance, you gain access to leads, training, networking, and support from the #1 brand of siding in North America. Achieve new levels of success by joining the James Hardie Alliance today.
Welcome to Majority Rules. This is Season 2, Episode 2. This is a podcast about Mizzou Athletics Majority, which is Olympic sports athletes. We will quickly go around and introduce ourselves, what we cover, and if we would like to say what we enjoyed about our Thanksgiving break, but keep it short. We have a time limit, guys. Let's start with Sophie.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie Silvers. I'm covering Mizzou's cross country and track, and it was really nice to see friends over break, and I really enjoyed it.
And then Dylan.
Hey everyone, I'm Dylan. I cover Mizzou volleyball, Mizzou women's basketball, and then a pinch of softball in the spring. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we'll get into the women's basketball coverage, but also just being able to relax and see some family.
And then Henry.
Hi, my name's Henry. I'll be covering Mizzou baseball. But my favorite thing over break was probably to decompress a little bit, and also watching some of the Mizzou sports was really enjoyable to take up my time. I was a little disappointed I couldn't go to Fayetteville, but I think the drive back would have been a little bit much, so I think it was all for the best. But yeah, seeing family was probably the most enjoyable aspect for sure.
And then Colin.
Hello, I'm Colin. I'm covering Mizzou wrestling and then a little bit of volleyball. Same for me pretty much. Just catching up with family was probably my favorite part of the break.
And then I'm Karen. I'm the host of this podcast and the Olympic sports manager at Rock M Nation. I didn't really have a break. We still work at the J School. So I was off Thursday and Friday. My family lives in Florida, so I didn't see them. So I used that time to do nothing, really. Watch trash TV, watch some sports, put up some Christmas decorations. I got a promotion at the J School, which went live as of Monday. So I'm very fancy, you guys. My new title is Program Manager of Student Support Services. So, yeah. So that was my fun news. Anyway, so oh, and what I cover, I cover softball, gymnastics, and swimming and diving. In today's episode, we are going to be covering cross-country/track with Sophie, wrestling with Colin, volleyball with Dylan and Colin, gymnastics with me, and then we will close the show with women's basketball again, and that will be from Dylan and Henry. Even though Henry doesn't write about women's basketball for our site, he still covers the team, so he's got lots of ideas. So we will kick it off with Miss Sophie.
Yes.
With Nationals.
I know. It was such a fun meet to be at. I think one of the best parts was seeing freshman Monica Wenjiku. She placed 35th at the meet, and she's literally one of the only 2 freshmen to ever get All-American honor, so that was a really big thing for her, and it was really fun to see Drew Rogers give her a hug after the meet. I think he's been more of a leader for the team all season. I remember Elijah Limo talking to me during an interview, and he was like, wow, Drew Rogers has been a really big influence on me. He's been more of a leader, so it was really cool to see that. And then some other players that I think I want to mention, a lot of the freshmen, Susie Lacotra, she won the first meet at home for Mizzou, and that was a really big moment for her, and I got to interview her after that. And also speaking to Kobe Walker, she's really sweet, and she has a very big influence on social media, so it was really cool to kind of watch her run this season, and I know that a lot of them are going to be running track as well, so I'm super excited to see that. And then I think a really big thing I want to mention is how much Coach Livermore has kind of done for the team. He's been a big role model, and I interview him countless of times. He's been really easy to talk to, and a lot of like the members in the team see him as a really, really good coach, and he's helped them a lot this season.
Yeah, I went to that winter sports media day leading up to nationals, and that was the first time I'd actually seen him and got to talk to him at all. And he is like the most engaging person on earth. Like,
I know.
I could have listened to him talk forever, and he just seems like he has a really good personality and is really just open and excited to talking about the team. So I thought that was really cool. What was it like what was the environment like out at Gans Creek for this meet?
There were literally so many people there, and I remember after the meet going in to see everyone. I remember Coach Livermore was in tears after the meet, and he was just so emotional because obviously, like, so many of the seniors are graduating, so they're not going to be here anymore, like Drew Rogers. I mean, he's done so much for this program, so it was really cool to see him kind of get emotional, and really, like, it shows how much he cared about the team, and, like, I've just had so much fun covering it this season. It's been great.
And then I guess next up will be track, which we thought their schedule was already released.
I know,
but
their schedule.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's not out yet. I know last year they competed at the Danville Opener, and Rahel Bromo, she did so good at that meet, but I'm actually speaking to Coach Harris tomorrow morning. He's the new jump coach from San Jose State, so he's from California, and he coached there for 4 seasons. So I'm interested to see like kind of his coaching methods and kind of see like what he wants to do for the team, especially for the jumps, how he plans to like progress the team forward. And I might even ask him like what they're thinking for their schedule, if they know any meets like coming up, possibly in January or even the meet this weekend. But we have a lot of new members. We have a lot of transfers. There's Tegan Anderson, Thomas Gonzalez, Nora Hark, Phelan Mining, Raymond. He actually competed for cross country this season, so it was really cool to see him. So I know he's going to do distance running. And then there's McKenna Lay. She's a javelin thrower. And then Bailey Vandabrook. She's a multi-competitor, so she'll do like all kinds of events. And then Brianna Utek, I know she also does sprints, jumps, throws, and hurdles. So I'm excited to see them, and then as well as our returners too. So that'll be good.
It's kind of, I feel like through Abigail's coverage last year, we got to know so many of the team members really well. And then like they've all graduated or like
I know.
moved on. Like Jonathan Sarams went and got his massive bag at Texas Tech.
Yeah, in March. It's insane.
Yeah, and Effany Andre finally graduated. Like she's
Yeah,
been around for like 6 years.
Yeah, so many of the
So it
seniors
is
on
kind of crazy
both
that
teams.
it'll be different. And there's a new jumps coach. So yeah,
And he
I'm
seems really
looking
nice, so
forward to that.
yeah, I'm really excited too.
And so what is next for you coverage-wise?
I think once I get those interviews from the coach tomorrow, I might make like a preview of the new players as well as returners and like what they did for the team last year, and also like just what's to come, possible like meet. I might ask him like if they know when their next meet's going to be, if they know if the schedule will be released. I'll make sure I ask him that tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sophie. You did a great job covering cross country, and it just was really fun to learn about the team.
Thank you.
Let's move on to wrestling with Colin. What's happened since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, last episode we were approaching the Tiger Style invite, and that was kind of like the first big test for the team. You know, they got through their Missouri duels with 3 Division II NAI opponents, and they did end up taking the Tiger Style invite, 4th straight year. That was good to see. 4 individual titles. They outscored the second place team by more than 20 points, which is really good to see. And then after that, it was even harder test at the national duels. There were 16 teams there. Every one but one of them was ranked in the top 30. So pretty much the best of the best. And Mizzou, they started somewhat slow going against Iowa, getting blown out. But they finished the meet 2-3, which may not sound great, but every team they played was obviously highly ranked. They upset Michigan, who was number 11 at the time. Then they beat Little Rock 2 to go with their 2 wins, and they almost beat Minnesota. It was 15-14 finish in round 4, and then they ended up losing to Illinois in their final round, but still took 8th place, won $20,000 in a cash prize for that tournament, so that was cool. And then most recently, this past weekend, they faced Illinois in a one-on-one duel, so they had a bit of a revenge match on their hands because they lost to them in that final round of the national duels. And they didn't end up taking it, but it went a lot better. It was 21-16 in the final, and it came down to the heavyweight bout with Jarrett Stoner, and he couldn't quite pull it out. But it was good to see them at least clearly improve from the national duels to the solo events at the Hearn Center.
Have you gotten to talk to Brian Smith yet?
I've gotten to talk to him a lot more since the last time we went through this. But and what I found about him is for how much pedigree he has in the program and just in college wrestling as a whole, he's a lot more laid back than I thought he'd be. Like, no ego on him whatsoever. It's like you're just talking to a wrestling fan, it feels like sometimes. He's very open, and I really like that about him. But just from what he said about the team, it feels like he kind of knew that this team, since it's so young, it would take some time to grow throughout the season. But he's liked what he's seen up to this point. They have all 10 starting wrestlers ranked at their positions, and that's including 2 injured wrestlers right now in Cam Steed and Max Mayfield. So once they get them back, it should be only better for the growth of the team going forward.
Yeah, at that Winter Sports Media Day, we got to talk to Aiden
Sinclair?
Yeah. I ask if it's Aiden because the way it's spelled.
It's like A.E. Odin. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, like it throws me off. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, how do you say this? Mm-hmm. And he's fun to talk to.
He's a character.
Talking about how, like, he wants to wrestle a tougher schedule because that he knows it's going to help him out in the long run. He doesn't want any easy matches and stuff like that. And I just thought that was really cool. And he, maybe he's the next Keegan O'Toole or Jaden Cox or like one of these. I don't want to put too much pressure on him.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but he's Mizzou's best pound for pound wrestler right now. He's number 2 at the 184 pound weight class. And I should have mentioned this when I started, but he did upset the number 1 wrestler at 184 at the national duels, Minnesota's Max Miccanelli. He took him down. So, and Sinclair only has 1 loss on the season, and that was at the national duels before that. But he pretty much, he's going to compete no matter who he plays. He's won so many ranked bouts already this season. It does feel like if someone's going to go the furthest at nationals on the team just currently standing, it's going to be Aiden.
And then what is coming up for them, though I know it may be difficult to report on.
Yeah. So this Friday, it's called the Hustle in the Heartland Invite, and that's in St. Charles, Missouri. So Missouri's going down to that, and it'll be Long Island University, Brown University, and Nebraska. So Mizzou will only be playing Long Island and Nebraska. Long Island, from what I looked into them, they're not great in terms of their wrestling team this year. They're 0-5 in their dual record, although they've had a tough schedule. So it should be more like a warm-up, for lack of a better words, for that Nebraska match, because it will come first. And that Nebraska match will be the biggest test of the season so far. They're ranked highly for a reason, and this is the first time the 2 programs are playing each other since the 2015-16 season. So it's a bit, you're reigniting that rivalry a little bit, and it should come down to, I think it'll be pretty close. It'll come down to a couple weight classes determining that could go either way. Like I think the heavyweight classes are going to be what decides it, 184, 197, and 285. Because that is where Mizzou is the strongest. We saw against Illinois at 184 and 197, Aiden and Evan Bates both won their bouts to give Mizzou a chance. And I think it's going to have to be something similar to have a chance against Nebraska. While you still have to get some wins in the lighter weights, it will end up coming down to those heavyweights doing what they've been doing and locking up big point wins for them.
How are the overall team rankings? What's Mizzou?
Mizzou is at number 11. They've been at that for the past 2 weeks, I believe. Even though they lost to Illinois, they just didn't move because Illinois was ranked number 10. And Nebraska is ranked number 6 currently, I believe. So okay. It should be interesting. But what I've learned from wrestling rankings, they don't tend to sway that much unless there's like a big upset or anything.
Yeah, it seems like even last year, I don't feel like it swayed all that much, and Mizzou had arguably a bad season. Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you, Colin. And then we will move right along to volleyball. So still got Colin, but adding in Dylan. Not great news, guys.
Yeah, it was excuse me, it was a little bit of a rough end to the year. I went back and checked. Mizzou lost 4 of its last 5 matches. They lost against a Kentucky team, which is a number 1 seed in the NCAA. Nothing to be ashamed about there, but we talked about it last time. They lost to Vanderbilt. They bounced back with a win against Mississippi State, but then they also lost to Alabama and then to Ole Miss in their first game of the SEC tournament, which really felt like the final nail in the coffin. It drew them out of the top 50 in the RPI. And if you're not in the top 50, you're not making the NCAA tournament. The lowest team who received an at-large bid was 49. Entering Selection Sunday, most people had the Tigers right around the bubble. Excuse me. Usually on the outside looking in, both the volleyball bracketologist and ESPN had them in their first 4 outs.
Jeffrey.
My good friend Jeffrey Calhoun, he was an optimist going in, and I love that for him. But unfortunately, the metrics just weren't in their favor. That Alabama loss, especially, I think really hurt them. And so as a result, when the actual selection committee rolled around, they weren't even in the first 4 out. They were in that next crop of teams. The SEC didn't really get a great draw, anyways. Florida was a 10 seed and Tennessee was a 7 seed, which really surprised me. So once I saw that Tennessee was a 10 seed, I knew it was pretty much over. So there were a couple opportunities, but as a result, kind of a sour stretch to end the year spelled doom for Mizzou.
Just what went wrong? I know you wrote about it, Dylan, but Colin, if you want to chime in as well, like, what do you see were the biggest issues this season?
I'll let you start that off, Dylan.
Yeah, I'm kind of spoiling the piece that I wrote here that's going live on Rock M tomorrow. Go read it. I put a lot of research into it, and I mostly just looked at the teams the last 2 years, specifically last year in 2024 and the 2025 team, and really checked what's different. Because obviously the 2024 team was special. They made the Sweet 16. You had Michael Vernon and Jordan Iliff. You had a young Reagan Haith, Colleen Finney. The team was so deep and so connected by that point. They had spent previous years together. This team had a couple transfers that were good, but we're still kind of getting their feet under them. Kaylin Alexander played really well. Tyra Ariel played really well. Reagan Haith played really well. The biggest thing is just that's depth offense. They didn't have as many players who could come in and get kills, and a lot of that burden fell on Alexander. She had similar production to Michael Vernon, but when you look at secondary production, Jordan Iliff had over 3 kills a game. Janet Demaray was lower than that. She had a lower attacking percentage, and she was prone to errors. There were also injuries that kind of derailed the season because Janet Demaray was out for certain parts of it, and then the rest of the team was so young, there was no one else really to step up into that role. So I think that there's a lot of talent, and there's nothing to be worried about long term, but they just didn't quite have the pieces to put it all together.
So did they perhaps underestimate what Jordan, I don't even know how you would do it, but like underestimate kind of what Jordan Iliff's impact was on the team?
I think it was just like last year, Michael Vernon and Jordan Iliff were so special. They were an incredible outside hitting duo, and that is not something easy to just find and replace. Like, they did their best, and I think Janet Demeray is a very good volleyball player, but she just wasn't quite up to snuff to be able to get the job done. And I think they were, again, kind of struggling to figure out who would be that next up, because you saw Makala Baglio, Paige Felder, Asia Harvey. Again, all very talented volleyball players, but they never quite stuck and could separate themselves. And so I think it's not only that there wasn't quite as much talent there, but as a result, they were constantly going back to Kaylin Alexander, which made the offense predictable, which made Kaylin Alexander less effective. So it kind of just snowballed itself out of control. And plus, you hit your skid during the last part of the season, which is the worst part of the season for the committee to hit you with. So if they had been able to find their footing late instead of early, I think they might be in the tournaments. But we can talk about it in a little bit. I have no long-term concerns about this. This is just a down developmental year for this team, I would say.
Well, and the athletic department clearly has no concerns either, since they did announce an extension for Dawn that came with a nice little, I think Dylan figured out the math, small little $45,000 raise.
Yeah, it's a long way to explain it.
I don't understand college money people.
It's again, I think it's less about the money and more just the confidence they have in her. Because in addition, like just a little peek behind it, it's the way the salary works is it goes up every single year, so she'd be making more and more money as her contract goes along. And so it's an extension from originally being signed to 2027 to 2029. So that's 4 more years, at least, of Sullivan volleyball. So there's still a lot of confidence in her and her program, and for good reason. Obviously, they're losing a lot of starters. They're losing Maya Sands. They're losing Kaylin Alexander. They're losing Janet Demeray. They're losing Haith and Ariel in the middles. It's a huge loss to the team, but I think that Sullivan knows what she's looking for in the portal, and I think especially getting a middle and an outside hitter will be big. Makala Baglio's seen a lot of service on the right side. Zoe Matias-Lopez is incredible. She has that potential to step into that Maya Sands role and be the libero of the future for this team. Marina Crowdover is going to be back to be kind of that revolving force in the middle. If not, you have Nina Mandovich and Sierra Dudley, who are hungry for some minutes. So I think there's a lot of good talents on this team, and I think the expectation moving forward is making the tournaments, and I think a down year like this is going to teach Sullivan a lot about what it takes to build and continue this program year after year. So.
Also, I will argue a down year in which they finished with a winning record is a hell of a lot better than the down years under Joshua Taylor.
It's miles and miles better. The fact that we're even talking about a down year and you just missed the NCAA tournament, like the upward trajectory of this team is great. It obviously stings, but there are bright things on the horizon for Mizzou volleyball between now and at least 2029, and that extension expires. Hopefully longer. So.
Yeah. Colin, do you have anything to add about volleyball?
Dylan's hit on pretty much everything. But my takeaways are, as he said, kind of just reiterating, a lot of people leaving. I think the freshmen that he mentioned come in, have an opportunity to step up. But as we've seen Sullivan do in this past year and the year before that, she is a good recruiter in the portal. And I think players that see, all of these seniors are leaving, they can see that as even more of an opportunity to get minutes right away under Sullivan. Sullivan's not picky with her minutes. She will give everyone a chance to get their shine and earn their spot in the rotation. So I don't think this is as much of a setback as it may feel right now.
I agree with that. And then good thing we are recording today, since some news came out on the coaching front. We don't know where they're going, but it appears that both Colin Irons and Jenna Gabriel are moving on. Matthew actually came by to see me, and we were talking about it, and we can't see that really either of them were like, neither one of us could foresee a situation in which they would have been, fired or anything like that. Like, it wasn't like some crazy situation where everybody was so terrible or something like that. We think it's likely that they're moving on to different positions. While, I believe this was Jenna Gabriel's first year as an assistant, because she did something else more behind the scenes, I think, before this year. So I doubt she's moving on to a head coaching role or something. But maybe she'll go take an assistant job at a different school or something like that. And then Matthew said he thought he could see someone like Colin, since he had such success with men's volleyball, him showing up as a head coach of a men's team. But we wish them well. Does anybody have any thoughts on them leaving? I was shocked.
I was definitely surprised because, again, they have both been a huge part of Sullivan's staff, not only at Missouri but at UNLV, and they were absolutely huge parts. But it definitely feels like a case of both of them looking to move on and to get better jobs for themselves, whether it's higher pay or higher titles. I think that both of them have definitely earned it. And like you said, it's not a case of them being fired. It's just a case of wanting to move on and try something new. And so I have full faith that whoever Sullivan's going to bring in, we'll see what happens, but I would assume you're probably just going to replace 2 assistant coaches with 2 more assistant coaches, but see where they hire them from, see what she's sort of looking for in her programs, whether it's internal promotions or external. I have no doubts at all. And again, you still have Dawn, you still have Wendell. The core of this team is still the same. And of course, we are wishing the best for Colin and Jenna.
I don't know who's going to write their LFG newsletter now that Colin's gone. Someone else is going to have to do it. Which I know LFG stands for Love, Family, Grit. But every time it came into my inbox, that is not what I thought LFG stood for.
He knew what he was. He knew what he was doing. He's a smart man.
Right. I was like, oh, I got that. All right. Well, I guess this will probably be one of the last times we talk about volleyball, unless when there's news coming in about transfers and things like that. Hopefully they aren't going to lose a bunch of people or anything like that. So thank you. Now we will move on to my favorite sport. I was going to also talk about swimming, but I didn't have time to look back at what I gathered from the swim meet, other than it was cool. They did great. Coach Grievers is awesome. His method of them focusing on each meet at a time, and then with the ultimate goal of just making NCAAs and kind of bypassing SEC championships, because they're never going to finish high at SEC championships with the amount of depth in the conference. But a lot of people made NCAA cuts and could potentially see themselves swimming in that meet. So whatever his plan is, it's working. And a lot of people the attendance was quite good at the meet. Spirited bunch of swim parents there. Yeah. Good times. Moving on to gymnastics. That's why I'm really here. So before the booster inter squad, as I've mentioned several times already, I went to that winter sports media day and got to talk with Shannon Welker and Kaya Tanskinen and Grace Ann Davis. It was kind of nice because I was the only gymnastics specific person there, so I got to ask so many questions. It was like just me and them talking with Callum McAnder from the Tribune chiming in every once in a while, but for the most part I got to just ask whatever I wanted to, which was great. But Callum did ask Shannon about the move to Mizzou Arena and how long it's been in the works. And he actually said it's something that they've been working on for like 10 years now, which I thought was kind of crazy. But because of how well they've been doing the last couple years, including obviously last year's like amazing season, Laird Beach just wanted to show the investment in the program and move them over to a venue that is very similar to what the other SEC teams are competing in. Because while Hearns is nice enough, they're going, when they go to Oklahoma, they're going in to where the same arena where Oklahoma plays basketball. Same as at Florida, they're going to Exact Tech Arena. And all of those, like LSU is at what Pete Maravich or whatever it's called. I don't know. The fancy places. So they're looking to step up by having the experiences now at Mizzou Arena. And it sounds like really with the goal of, if things go well, this year the team does well competing there. They feel comfortable in that environment. I do think that the move also lines up for them to possibly be in line to host regionals at Mizzou Arena, which would be excellent for revenue and just be a really cool environment, and not something that Mizzou sports gets to do a lot. Like, we just got the cross country national championships. Like, it would be really cool for Mizzou gymnastics to be able to host a postseason type of event over at Mizzou Arena. So that would be awesome. And then a couple days later, they had a booster inter squad on November 22nd. I was there. They even had a scorer, which was nice. Though I could only see the scores on Vault. I have no idea what the scores were on any of the other events. Whoops. A couple of things to run through. Saw a lot more 10.0 start value vaults, which was great, including Hannah Horton, who looked unreal. Olivia Kelly, Dakota Essenprice, Elise Tisler, and then Ayla Acevedo, who's a sophomore, threw in like a bonus 10.0 start value vault at the end that none of us knew was coming because she's never competed it before. So that was pretty cool. And they looked really good, and that's not even everybody who can do them. Like, Kaya still was out after her finger injury. And a couple more people just did 995 start value vaults instead of 10.0 ones this time. But we'll be seeing them soon enough. Bars looked awesome per usual. They have so much depth. I might have mentioned it the last time, but the Tigers are really good about doing unique single bar release moves. So instead of moving from the high bar to the low bar, vice versa, like they're doing releases on like just the high bar. And I think the thing that I like the best about that is that there's also a lot of freshmen that have very unique high bar release moves, including Haley Westerland, Maya Terry, and Kamara Eccles, even though Kamara did sit out this meet, but she does have a unreal release move on bars. They had lots of aggressive handstands, so like holding them longer than possible, or maybe going over them a little bit. Like Hannah ran into some problems where she ended up having to swing around again because she held on for a bit too long. But Whitney Snowden told me afterwards that she would much rather them be overly aggressive on the handstands than them be short, because you always can dial it back. It's much easier to dial it back than to dial it up. Beam this time around had a bit of a tougher go. They had some falls. They say that falls tend to be contagious. That definitely happened. I think there were 3 in a row. Because when I was talking to Lacey Rubin afterwards, she was like, ooh, I need somebody to stop the falls. Amy Weir stopped the falls. But with the falls, it was like weird balance issues. It wasn't like they came off the beam after doing like a crazy skill. Like, it was just kind of like they randomly lost their balance. It was very weird. Nothing to be worried about, I feel like. So not concerned on that at all. Floor was the last thing they did. It was incredible, as always. And except for, I think, 2 people, we saw full-out floor routines. Just awesome stuff. So I want everybody to mark their calendars, because the black and gold meet is next Friday, December 12th, 6 p.m. at Mizzou Arena. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for it. I told Matthew that he could come with me and be like a second reporter, even though he's not going to do any work. But I'll put him to work. I'm going to teach him about gymnastics. So very excited. As for what I'm working on, nothing at the moment. You can read my inter squad recap on the site. It came out around Thanksgiving. And then my very long-awaited thesis level of analysis of leotards went live today, friends. All 5,900 words of it. You know what? That's a lot of words, but it does not read like that many words. And there are lots of pictures. I am quite proud of it. I would like the J School to give me an honorary master's degree for my dissertation on leotards. I hope that people will at least read some of it. I have headings, you can scroll down to the ones that you like and read the backstory on it. Anyway, so if you want to learn about leotards or just look at some pretty pictures or some snippets of the new ones, because I've been sworn to secrecy and will not show the full new ones in their entirety, I suggest that you go check it out. And that is all I have to say about that. Finishing up the show, women's basketball, all hail Kelly Harper. The greatest thing to happen to Mizzou women's basketball, if you ask me. So the Tigers had a great time in Florida over Thanksgiving. Henry and Dylan, what say you?
Take it away.
Yeah, I just think...
Also, Henry, you look very much in the dark there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're sitting in the pitch black.
Yeah, I mean... I guess the light
you
on
got
wasn't...
a light there or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a full...
Let us know if you need help, please.
Yeah.
You have a lamp.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's kind of because Karen, I saw you said this the other day, but like, it sounds a little bit cliche, but I just think it's the most watchable and definitely the most fun women's basketball team I've seen, just stylistically since I've been here. Because, like, obviously an easy topic would be Grace Slaughter, but I just think there's also several players who I think are doing a lot of really good things, like outside of just her, especially Jayla Smith, I think is one. But I just think overall as a unit, and I think it definitely showed in the Northwestern game, they just gel really the best out of any women's basketball team I've watched since I've kind of come to Mizzou. And I just think, I kind of like you said before, it's kind of a testament to what Kelly Harper's kind of already done since she's arrived here.
Yeah, I wanna build on that a little bit because I think the depth is there at a level that we haven't seen in the past. Like, what is key in a basketball season, what I've noticed, is you need players to step up at any given game. We've seen, obviously, Grace Slaughter, Chloe Sattel, Jordana Reisma, those are your big three, but you mentioned Jayla Smith has had some really good moments. Chloe Sattel has had some really good moments off the bench. Someone like Sanaya Tyler comes in and makes a couple big threes. Like, it's the whole team that is able to step up in current moments and pick each other up when they're not totally there. So it's that entire unit that you can always rely on somebody to step up that's keeping them in games and allowing them to win against teams like Northwestern, which is the first time they've beaten a good Power 5 team, I'd say, that came into it undefeated. Obviously, Grace Slaughter helped a lot with her 33 points and her new career high. On the second night of a back-to-back, no less. But just a gutsy performance in the 3 wins in Florida.
Shannon Dowell, too, has been another really good player that I've been really impressed with.
Oh my God, I forgot about
Double
her.
doubles, I mean, that's doesn't really hurt to have that on your team alongside Grace Slaughter gets 33 points.
Yeah, I will say it hasn't been... go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I was just going to say, what have you liked so far that you've seen out of this team? And are we giving Kelly Harper an extension already?
You go first, Henry.
Just kidding.
I just, since Troy, I think the defensive, I just think the improvements defensively have been very much evident. I just think what they've allowed, especially in one category, like what they haven't allowed opponents to shoot from deep, I think has just been a really key aspect since Troy. I mean, when they gave up a fair amount of points. So yeah, I think definitely an extension is on the horizon in the very near future.
And
Yeah,
a
100%.
statue.
Yeah.
The defensive communication has been huge because that's a huge part of it, is just knowing where you are positionally, knowing where everyone else is. There's a lot less of those easy buckets, less of those wide open shots. It also helps that a lot of those teams don't play as quick or as fast as Troy, but you could tell, even through the screen, that the communication was a lot better and that they were able to use some of their physical tools and just their quickness to their advantage. So the defense, like you said, has been a lot better, and that's really been the case because they are 6-0 in games, or 7-0, excuse me, in games where they've allowed less than 80 points and 0-2 in games where they've allowed over 80 points. So that's a good middle threshold right there.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it also is just that, like, I know people irrationally freaked out after the exhibition game, and I kept trying to tell people, like, these people don't know each other. Like, they are playing like a team that has not played together, and I feel like every game they're starting to look better and better, gel together better and better, and you can tell that, like, I know at least the first couple games, I was like, what does Chloe Sotel bring to this team? Like, she can't shoot. Well, she can shoot now, and she has come alive, and I love that there are so many different people on this team that we're seeing really good things out of, that perhaps, like, I think that Jayla Smith was pretty underrated at her prior stop, and she's really stepping up and showing out a lot so far this season. I've been really impressed with her.
Yeah. I think, well, another thing, against Northwestern, I just think if they can continue, like, being that composed in close games, like, late, which is something I just think that they've go back to last season, like, I just think that's something they've definitely lacked before, especially when they kind of lack the ability maybe to hold leads down the stretches of games, and, like, because, like, I mean, Dylan and I both watched last year. There'd just be a certain point in the second half of a game where you could just feel it kind of turn every single time. I just think that's kind of like the Northwestern game. I was like,
they'd have a quarter every single game.
Yeah, it would be just one quarter where
score.
Yeah. So, and then you could just pick out that one quarter where things went wrong. But yeah, definitely against Northwestern, that was definitely an example where I was definitely saw that trend is probably might flip on its head a little bit, at least a little bit this year for sure.
I think the thing I liked most about the Northwestern game was the lack of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
They were not turnover crazy that game, and it just made me feel really good about the progression of the team, because that's like a good Power 4 team, and they were able to largely hold on to the ball, which was great to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have on here written about any concerns you might see from the team. That would probably be the biggest one, is the turnovers. It was a problem last year. It's been a big issue this year, especially you look back at the Troy game, just easy turnovers leading to easy points. Like you said, they're starting to minimize that. Obviously, Sanaya Tyler's still getting healthy. Avery Kroenke's out. Lisa Thompson has kind of been up and down. She's been out of the starting lineup in place for Chloe Sattel. So your lack of ball handlers, I think, has kind of been a struggle for Mizzou, as Shannon Dowell and Grace Slaughter have had to handle the ball more than they initially thought they were. Chloe Sattel does have a bit of a traveling problem. I think it happened like 3 times in the Florida games. That was rough. But I think these are all manageable things to fix. So I don't see any deep embedded long-term issues with this team. I think, again, it's all about getting healthy and then continuing to gel together.
So I'm going to steal from our football coverage. Who do you think is your MB3 so far? So you get 3 people. Obviously, Grace is one of them.
Yeah.
Actually, really, 2 of them should be pretty easy to fix. So, aside from Grace,
Dylan, do you wanna?
Who are your other
Sure.
2-headed monsters?
So I'll go Grace, obviously. I can't leave Shannon off this one. Again, consistent double-double machine, has continuously found ways to score, and she's found her 3-ball game, especially against Troy. So this is a player that is very clearly cementing herself alongside Grace Slaughter. Kelly Harper talked a lot about Jordana Reisma as that 3rd player, and I think she's really good, and she plays a very important role on this team. But I'm going to go with Chloe Sattel, because you and I have talked about this. She was really rough. She did not look good the first couple games of the year, and then Kelly Harper came to the stand and talked about how smart of a player she was, how cerebral, and just because she isn't making shots doesn't mean she's not an asset to the team. And then she proved it in those games. Like, obviously she can shoot beyond the 3, but she can get inside the arc. She can make the smart passes. She's going to take care of the ball most of the time. That is an extremely important player, and she's been rewarded with it. She's been put in the starting lineup, and they've had a lot of success. I think they're either 2-0 or 3-0 with Chloe Sattel in the starting lineup, and the team has just looked smoother and better. So that is someone who I think deserves a lot more recognition for what she's been able to do, even if it's not scoring 20 points a night. You're getting a consistent 9 to 15, and it's going to be efficient. It's going to be no more than 6 shots. So that is someone who I think has been an underrated piece, especially in this hot streak they've had.
Yeah.
Henry, what about you?
Yeah, I think I would agree with all 3 of those. I just think, I'll just kind of go into Chloe specifically. I just think even if she's not scoring a lot of points. I think she really helps open up lanes for Slaughter and Dow a lot. And then I guess I'll give a honorary mention to Kelly Harper, especially with getting a 400th career win as well against the rival J school. I thought that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I definitely think
J school,
that
best school.
Yeah. I just think there's just definitely more. I definitely just with Harper getting an honorable mention. I just think if there's already like an identity forming and like the rotation's already settling, I just think in years past that took a lot longer to sort of get going. Like outside of Grace specifically, I think already the team is doing an excellent job of that.
Is there anybody you would like to see more from that you just don't think necessarily is really doing a whole lot? So, like, I don't know how to word it in a way.
I get what you're saying. So I will say, Lisa Thompson is someone who has been in the starting lineup and has really struggled, and you've seen her minutes kind of diminish as a result. She's not a bad player by any means. She serves a very important role on this roster. I think she was definitely thrust as someone who was a third point guard, now was expected to be a starter, and so I think the situation kind of forced her into an uncomfortable spot. But again, like we said, Chloe Sattel was struggling the first couple games. That doesn't mean Lisa Thompson can't go on a hot streak come SEC play. It's really just identifying what her strengths and her role should be within this team. So I think that's one person that I'm identifying as someone who still, I feel, has more to give to this team who we haven't seen the full potential of.
Yeah. Dylan, how?
I feel like Abby Schreck has been pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say Abby.
Abby too.
She's crazy. Like, I just can't even recall what she's been doing.
Yeah.
Because early on it was just... Yeah, Dylan, go ahead.
Sorry, she's made a couple threes here or there. Like, her production isn't abysmal. Like, it's not... I'm actually checking it now because I don't know exactly what it is. I think right now she's at about 8 points a game, give or take, making 2 threes, which again isn't terrible, but you can feel that kind of her rhythm has been thrown off or she's at 6 points per game, so she's kind of on a downward trod. She hasn't made a lot of shots recently, and so I think it's just how do you play with both her and Chloe on the court at the same time, because both of those players play a very similar role. I don't think she's been a net negative by any means. I feel like she's still been a valuable part of the team, even if she's not showing up on the stat sheet, especially when this team is winning. But you would like to see her get it going, especially in some of these games where every point's going to mean a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it's kind of more for Dylan. Like, I guess with this team, do you think, like, her role, because you already kind of touched on it, do you think her role could kind of just, like, diminish maybe a little bit? Then it, like, diminish from last year, possibly?
Yeah, I think it's a good question because, like, last year she was the number one shooter. That was her job.
Yeah.
But obviously they've brought in players like Chloe Sattel, Sydney Maines when she's healthy, even someone like Sanaya Tyler. So I guess it's really, like you said, kind of finding her role and I guess learning how to play more inside, because she has not only struggled from 3, but she struggled from 2 as well. And so how can she incorporate a midcourt jumper, how to get into the paint more effectively. I haven't watched her super closely on defense, but she has not looked like a liability as well. So having her out on the court, like I said, isn't hurting the team, but I guess it's how effectively can she use her skills, especially, like you said, offensively, when a lot of those looks are now going to Chloe Sattel. So again, I think it's the puzzle piece question. It's how do you fit everybody in the right spots. So I think as Chloe Sattel's kind of risen, we've kind of seen Abby Schreck's opportunities go down. So it's how do we find the sweet spots, especially to keep opponents off balanced.
It's a good problem to have, depth. Not something that we've been accustomed to in the last 5 or so years. So they'll figure it out. I have all the faith in Kelly Harper. So to wrap up, the Tigers will be taking part in their part of the ACC SEC Challenge, and hopefully it will go better than it did for the men on Tuesday night. They will face Cal tomorrow, Thursday at 8 p.m. They're doing $1.99 beer specials and giving away retro hats. So that'll be exciting. Cal is famously coached by a former candidate for this position, Sherman Smith. Is that her last name? Yes. Who I kind of lobbied for to possibly be the next coach of the Tigers. So we are welcoming her in, and that should be a good matchup. Excited. Yeah. So I guess that's all from here. I'm getting a message from Nate because I think that they're supposed to be recording. So thank you everyone for following along. Read all our content on rockmnation.com. Follow us on the Twitter, on the Instagram, and the TikTok. Now that football season is ending, hopefully we will be doing some more TikTok stuff. Would love to see it. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Don't know when that's going to be, but we'll work it out. And yay. Okay. Bye. Oh, M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
Z-O-U.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.